About over a week ago, FNAF World Refreshed got its 1.6 update, and with it, several changes to the game were introduced. And by several changes, I mean the game was almost completely overhauled.
What do you mean the story has cutscenes now?
One of these big changes came in the form of a Freddy in Space rework, some character moveset tweaks, and some character switch-arounds unlock requirement-wise. Because of these new changes, I think a revisit of my easiest unlock to hardest unlock video is in order. Except this time, with FNAF World Refreshed. Before we begin, as always, let me set some ground rules. First, I am only talking about the difficulty of unlocking these characters 100% legitimately. This list will not take into account any type of exploits, bugs, loopholes, modding of the source code, or outside assists. And second, I will be ranking these challenges taking overall gameplay difficulty into account and not necessarily basing them entirely on completion difficulty alone. So where the different challenges fall is determined from the perspective of average to experienced players who have at least some knowledge of how the spin-off games work. Okay, now that I've clarified, let's not waste any more time and jump right into the list. I cannot believe they went and one-upped Nightmarion by adding a character who's even easier to unlock. All you have to do is hop into Foxy.exe and keep walking left into the barrier next to the start. Then Foxy does this bizarre thing where he looks at you all goofy for a few seconds and then appears to explode? I don't know. But the point is, Foxy.exe is still a pathetically easy spin-off addition, and FanLad is quite a strong character for basically being a freebie. You can't even say it was worth it or anything like that, you basically just got a free character. What were the devs thinking with this one? It should be a shock to no one that these two are ranked back to back. Foxy.exe is not at all a hard or even remotely challenging game at all. Just press D and sometimes A. I mean, I guess there's always the possibility in the second stage of being actually caught off guard by Freddy and accidentally walking into him, but there's a way to bypass this entirely. If you're easily startled and want to negate the chance of Freddy appearing, all you have to do is walk forward in a stop-and-go pattern by pressing D in short increments instead of holding it. Maybe I'm just really lucky, but I have never encountered Freddy while doing this. Either way, you beat the game easy peasy and unlock Nightmarion, which, again, feels like a really cheap steal for such a powerful character. The scale of challenge difficulty to character power is just unbalanced through the ceiling and needs to be changed. Sure, it's convenient that these two really strong characters are free to unlock, but these are the type of party members players should actually earn. Nightmarion is a broken character, and Foxy.exe should not be in this game. Wow, would you look at that? The first character on our list that takes some effort to earn. Nothing has changed about Purple Guy's ranking in this regard. He's still the easiest character to unlock that isn't just handed to you. You unlock Purple Guy by beating FNAF 57 with all 9 cupcakes acquired. With this new update, Freddy in Space has a new interface which allows you to see your health bar, and new gameplay mechanics were introduced, giving Freddy a dash move like he's Doom Guy, and a super attack, which you can charge by shooting enemies and once full can be unleashed to deal a heap of damage. However, this new interface also has a particularly handy feature which shows you how many cupcakes there are and how many you've collected. Additionally, Freddy's fire rate is increased exponentially with most of the upgrades, except for the last few. Now, the last time I did this, there were a few people who disagreed with me on Purple Guy being the easiest Freddy in Space character to get, simply because the search for all the cupcakes can be hard and confusing to some players. Which, yes, is true, but as I mentioned, we're talking about gameplay difficulty from the viewpoint of a player with at least basic knowledge and experience. For most who know how the game works, collecting all 9 cupcakes just means backtracking a bit further to make the gameplay easier. Sure, the difference between Upgrade 8 and Upgrade 9 is minuscule and hardly noticeable, but it is there, and that's what distinguishes Purple Guy's spot on this ranking. As for how much Purple Guy is worth the trouble, he definitely gets a green light. His rework made him much stronger than his original version, but not quite to the point of this feeling like another Nightmarion situation. Hey, here's an idea. Let's play Freddy in Space again, and try beating it with one less cupcake upgrade. What's the reward for this only slightly tougher challenge in objective gameplay? A beastly character with Jacko-Bomb and Slasher that you'll definitely want on your party. Sadly, Jacko-Bonnie isn't quite as powerful as he used to be with some of the character reworks and new abilities that Refreshed introduced, but he still holds his own as a commonly used party member. As for unlocking him, there's really not much to say. He's on the brink of being just as easy to get as Purple Guy, and he's still in the green of being worth the difficulty of unlocking him, which really isn't that difficult. All things considered, once you get the first few cupcakes, the game just becomes a breeze. Alright, now we're getting into the territory of things being a little tough. Foxy Fighters has yet to receive an overhaul, so it's pretty much the same game aside from an updated sprite for Fredbear and subtle visual improvements. Gameplay-wise, it's the same. If you complete the game normally, having taken like 5 or more hits, you'll get a B rank and unlock Jacko Chica. I'll admit, I actually struggled quite a bit deciding where to rank the Foxy Fighter challenges, especially Jacko Chica, mainly because I personally unlocked Nightmare BB the easiest, and found it being more difficult to just sort of plow through the game and purposefully try making random mistakes to take controlled damage. Some of which I could envision a novice player actually making, while others were me clearly just getting myself hurt like an idiot. Foxy Fighters is certainly a challenging spin-off, but once you become really good at something that's supposed to be hard, it's tougher than you'd think to try and play bad, and even tougher to try and play average. Ultimately, I chose to put Jacko Chica here because this list is supposed to be oriented around average players, and majority would likely say that they find Foxy Fighters at least a little challenging, and majority would likely get a B ranking on a casual playthrough. Faking a skill issue to get a B rank doesn't count as gameplay difficulty, since the game wasn't designed with the intent or expectation of average players getting above average results. As for the difficulty of the actual game, regardless of what rank you're playing for, it still holds true to what I said over a year ago. Foxy Fighters isn't too difficult, but it is kind of a bumpy ride. Jacko Chica is a strong party member, and her power balances nicely with the challenge, so yes, definitely worth it. Surprisingly, Chica's Magic Rainbow got quite a change in FNAF World Refreshed. The game itself, for the most part, is pretty much the exact same, but they went and made Mr. Chipper the reward for normal completion, as well as giving him a moveset buff, which, thank God this guy desperately needed. This given grace also makes him actually worth the trouble of unlocking him. And for this game, I do really mean trouble. Aside from the laser shooting butterfly segment being heavily watered down,
yeah, baby!
It didn't really take away from the overall difficulty of the obstacle course, and it's still annoyingly tedious. On a brighter note, after making my last Halloween unlock video, I recommended some anger management classes to Miss R, and she only agreed to attend if I paid for them. I haven't heard back from her in a while, so let's check in on her and see how she's doing.
Oh, really? It's like that? Well, now you've really pissed me off! You still suck!
Oh. Clearly those haven't exactly been working out for her. Well, that was a waste of money. God damn it, Miss Rainbow, those classes were not cheap! Yep, our bright, colorful friend here is just as vigorous and verbally abusive as ever. If you manage to complete this challenge without dying enough times to push Miss Rainbow's comments into the passive-aggressive territory, you are one lucky motherfucker. Like before, there's something to be said here about learning and memorization. Chica's Magic Rainbow, as tedious as it can be, is also an experience that plays fair. I know what you're thinking. Loon, how are deadly stakes protruding from the ground at undodgeable speeds or eyeball projectiles with object permanence fair in any way, shape, or form? Well, yeah, it seems unfair at first, if you're not expecting it. But the next time you attempt it, It doesn't switch it up on you and make you guess every single time. CMR is a challenge heavily based on trial and error. It only takes so many deaths before you start to learn exactly what to do. The challenge certainly never gets any easier, but it also never becomes any harder due to one crucial fact. Chica's Magic Rainbow has absolutely zero RNG. Every playthrough will be the exact same, which is what holds unlocking Mr. Chipper back from ranking any higher on this list. And there are other challenges ahead which completely trump CMR in terms of difficulty. Coming back to Foxy Fighters, this spin-off once again marks the beginning of a skill jump on this list. We now talk about the characters in the category I like to call, oh, okay, this is actually pretty freaking hard. I'm sure unlocking Nightmare BB triggered a lot of Cuphead players' PTSD. When you play Foxy Fighters normally, you're already trying to avoid as many projectiles as possible, but when you're trying to keep your health above 135 HP when you only have 150 max, it looks like there are 10 times more shots flying at you than usual. Most of the game is a breeze as long as you have the laser cannon pickup and stay near the top, but once you confront Souldozer, the boss fight feels much more intense. The game is simple. Best ones always are. Don't get hit. Okay, but it isn't as simple as that when Souldozer is over here throwing spread shots at me that take up my entire monitor and firing lines of missiles I have less than a second to react to. If he does it once, cool, but if he follows up his attacks in a chain, oh boy, that's a problem. When trying to unlock Nightmare BB, Foxy Fighters is hot on the heels of Freddy in Space when talking about games which have made me frequently ask the question, "Yes, greetings, old chap. If you wouldn't mind indulging me in this little morsel of information." How the hell was I supposed to avoid that? I think I've made my stance of the difficulty itself very clear. But now this begs the question, is Nightmare BB worth it? This is the first character on the list which I'm a little iffy about. It's not that Nightmare BB is bad, he's far from it, having Bubble Breath and Omega Bite in his moveset. That's gotta count for something. He's strong like the others, but he still feels maybe a bit underwhelming compared to characters like Anim Dude, Nightmarion, the Jackos, and another character I'll talk about in not too long from now. He's a good character, but the challenge of getting an A in Foxy Fighters is a bit too tedious of a challenge. He could and probably should switch unlocking conditions with one of the easier characters, cause he's a little out of his rank here. I'm glad they made the switch around for the CMR characters, because Anim Dude remains a beast, and beating a tricky game like Chica's Magic Rainbow under a time limit is exactly the type of challenge he should have to unlock him. I know it might come as a shock to many that this isn't number 1 or runner-up, but the main reason for that is what I said before. This game doesn't become harder, it just might feel harder because you have to beat it in under 3 minutes. Most players probably won't succeed the first time around, and this challenge certainly is a tough one, no question about that. It's in the top 3 for a reason. However, due to the lack of RNG and the obstacles being 100% scripted, all it really takes is practice and learning the layout of each stretch between checkpoints. Still, again, it's not easy, and even if you're someone who knows how to get through this game like the back of your hand, it's hard not to tense up in those moments when the timing of your movement has to be super tight. And let's be honest, this would be a nightmare if they hadn't nerfed the butterfly part. You little bastards can still go fuck. Some may be appalled by my decision to rank a Foxy Fighters character over the hardest Chica's Magic Rainbow challenge, but hear me out. Remember how I said earlier that it's hard to purposefully play sloppy? Yes, well, that's not the entire reason why I ranked this character so high. Nightmare Mangle lands here because the type of reckless gameplay it takes to unlock her can actually be pretty dangerous, and game overing is a very real possibility of this challenge. The threshold to go from a B rank to a C rank is lower than you think. In fact, I wish I had recorded it, but I was one hit away from death at the end of my winning run to get Nightmare Mangle. Taking damage and limiting your kills sounds like an easy task, but it can be difficult to know how much is too much, especially considering Solldozer's RNG attack pattern, and how easily it can overwhelm you. It took me a good few tries to get a C rank, and for at least half of them, I failed via a game over. And of course, there's always the possibility of playing it too safe and overshooting a C rank. Even when you're doing a good job of evenly pacing how much damage you take at a time, it is all too easy to end up taking more damage than you intend to. And if you go into the boss fight like that, then you better pray that Souldozer goes easy on you. Now I know what you might be thinking.
Bro, just go into the boss fight with high health and let Souldozer do all the damage.
I mean, I guess? But it's just as easy, if not easier, to fumble in the boss than it is for most of the game. Solldozer's attack RNG is more often than not extremely brutal, and you'll discover pretty quickly that intentionally taking damage from him can hurt you way more than you expect. Even before the boss fight, there could be at least some damage you take unintentionally, and one big mistake can throw off the steady draining of health you've been taking at your own pace up to that point. Is the challenge of it all entirely luck-based? No, it's still possible, even with really bad luck if you play your cards right. The approach you have to take for this challenge completely changes your perception of the gameplay, and cohesively its difficulty. Because of how sensitive you have to be with the amount of damage you take, and how easy it is to accidentally whittle yourself down to a bad spot, unlocking Nightmare Mangle skyrockets up to number 2. Now, is she worth it? Abso-freaking-lutely. I am very pleased with the addition of her character in FNAF World Refreshed, and she is undoubtedly one of the strongest characters in the entire game. Her moveset is so versatile, and she's incredibly useful both as a debuff and support character and a damage dealer. In my opinion, this has a great balance of difficulty to strength, and she earns a shiny, bright green light. Hey, that rhymes. Is it really even a surprise? Even with the overhaul to Freddy in Space with its added gameplay mechanics and stronger player character, Coffee remains the toughest of the character unlock challenges. Even though it's certainly easier than the original, where you had to make it through the whole thing with a measly pea shooter, this new FNAF 57 still has the same glaring priorities. Take as little damage as possible, avoid all the weird floating tumor bubble things, make it to the end, defeat the boss,
and don't die.
Great, thanks.
The good news is, you no longer have to spam your weak little blaster. It now has a decent fire rate by just holding down the shoot button. In fact, spamming the button does little to nothing. However, the bad news is that the enemies seem to have more HP, and the health drop RNG hasn't improved at all. At least, it feels that way. And just like before, taking damage is unavoidable. I would love to see a FNAF challenge runner at some point try to beat Freddy in Space without taking any damage even once, because I'm fully convinced it's humanly impossible. I say humanly impossible because I know it's theoretically possible, but weaving through that entire game without taking a single hit is such a demanding premise that takes very high intelligence, sonic speed strategic thinking, and a level of pinpoint, pixel-level, nanosecond precision which normal human beings just aren't capable of. I bet a really advanced and fast-thinking AI might be able to pull it off, but I highly doubt a normal person stands any chance, and it would blow my mind if someone proves me wrong. Whatever, I'm getting off track here. FNAF 57 with no cupcakes is definitely easier than it used to be, especially thanks to the stronger default blaster, and the added dash mechanic can really help out with dodging things you just couldn't avoid in the original. The super attack is also a handy tool for clearing out narrow pathways full of enemies that would otherwise be impossible to get through unharmed. One of the best examples is this particular section of the underwater portion. The super move is kind of slow to recharge, but what's nice is that there aren't really a whole lot of spots in the game which you would have to use it. Alas, despite the challenge not being as absurdly hard as it was before, Unlocking Coffee is still definitely the toughest character for most people, myself included. If Foxy Fighters didn't give the Cuphead players Vietnam flashbacks, then this challenge absolutely will. Thank you guys so much for watching. It was a blast getting to revisit this list, and if this video gets enough support, I'll make more FNAF World Refreshed content. Not really, I'm gonna make more of this stuff regardless of how this video does, because it has been way too long. We gotta get FNAF World back on the channel, y'all. Anyways, remember to like the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you want to see more. Every sub helps the channel grow, and your guys' support is what motivates me to keep going and making these videos. Once again, thanks everyone. Take care, stay safe, and we'll catch you.
We'll catch you, Lexi.